It's recording.
Okay, hey, we did Angels in America Part 1, Millennium Approaches. My name's Madeline Anderson. I am a junior this year, and I'm a business major, and I will be doing slides 1 through 7, which are the productions that we looked into.
Hi, I'm Kayla. I'm a junior and I have a major in biology with a concentration of pre-vet. And I will be discussing the designs that we chose that include the settings and the costumes. And I will also be describing our theme that we had chose that our play was all about.
Hi, I'm Lizzie. I'm a sophomore and I'm a nursing major. I will be talking about the character choices that we have chosen for the play.
What's happening? Oh my gosh, my computer is not. There we go.
Okay, so the first play that we did was in Los Angeles, California. It was at the Black Box Theater, and it was during April and May of this year. And then these were some pictures from the production. Okay, some things about this play. It was produced by Foolish Company. And this was a huge challenge for them as it was a gay fantasy on national themes. It was performed in the Black Box Theater, and it is split up into 2 3-hour plays, Millennium Approaches and Perestroika. Okay, the second play that we did was located in London in the United Kingdom, and it was done at the Littleton Theater, and the production year was 2017. And these were some pictures from this play. All right, some things about this production. It was performed on Broadway after winning a Tony Award. Stars famous actors such as Andrew Garfield and Nathan Lane. And then the show returned to the same theater that following May to perform the second part, Perestroika.
All right, these are some of our design choices. The setting, the hospital room, I wanted to include the IV tubes because in the play it says that Pryor has IV in a oxygen tube that goes on his face, you know, the ones that go into your nose. And so I wanted to include this in the setting as well as Pryor having that oxygen tube on his face. And then in Pryor's bedroom, Act 3, Scene 1, this is when those two ghosts, Pryor 1 and 2, show up into Pryor's bedroom. And I looked up what bedrooms looked back in 1985, and this was the best that I could find to include the clock, which is over on the wall that Pryor looks at in the play, and then he sees a man standing in the corner near the table. And so I thought it was a great idea to include this picture because of the table that's right underneath the clock, and it's in the middle of the wall, and you can see a man if he was standing in the corner. And it just gives you that 1985 kind of feeling with the bed and the bed frame and that seat, that loafer seat. And then on Rory's desk, this is when Rory and Joe were in his office. And the play describes how Rory had an impressive desk. It was very simple, but he had a fancy like phone system. And so I wanted to include the view of somebody sitting on the opposite side of Rory's desk while Rory is like sitting at his desk, and you can see his phone. And the play shows that it had rows of buttons that were flashing, and that phone has a lot of buttons on it. I don't even think I could tell you which all the buttons stand for, but and then I wanted to include the view of if Rory was sitting at his desk, what the rest of his office would look like. And so it's that very, simple coffee table, couch, and 2 chairs just for somebody to sit down rather than somebody sitting at Roy's desk, they could sit comfortably and chat like they were friends, and that person would feel more comfortable. And then I also did some research on what people wore back in 1985 because I wanted the play to look like it was back in 1985 rather than, 2000s. And so back then, people wore casual but baggy clothing. Um, they looked very comfortable. It wasn't very tight clothing. And, they had multiple colors. It wasn't just like one color, but and then women, like wives or business women, they would wear these kind of dresses that weren't too revealing, not too tight. Whereas now, girls, we will wear a dress that goes above the knee and it's tight. But back then, they wore dresses that looked more comfortable to me, to be honest. And they weren't short. They were, they were very not too revealing. Like they look really comfy, and for a husband to have a wife, he doesn't want her to go to work wearing a short dress. And so I also wanted to include the hospital gown that Pryor was in, because I wanted to look to see if hospital gowns had evolved throughout the years, but they haven't. So the gowns that we have now are exactly what they used back then. They just tied in the back, a simple gown. That way it'll be easy to take off. And so obviously there are multiple colors, but I just wanted to have like a basic gown for this play. And then I also wanted to include the two ghosts that Pryor saw in his bedroom, what their costumes would look like, because I feel like this was an important part of the play, and because it really opened Pryor's eyes. So this is in, both of these are in Act 3, Scene 1. Pryor 1, the play described him as a farmer that was in 13th century. That was a British farmer. And then Pryor 2, he was a elegant 17th century Londoner. And I didn't want to go for that angel kind of look, because the play described Pryor 1 and 2 as ghost. They didn't describe them as, a person with white clothing and glowing and white wings and a halo. They just described him as like a ghost of Pryor's past. And which honestly makes me think of the Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas past, honestly. But they aren't, like, I wouldn't think of a angel at this scene. I mean, yes, the play does say that Pryor 1 is gloomy and fierce, but not like glowing like an angel would be.
Okay, I'm going to be talking about the character choices that we have chosen. We're going to start with Harper Pitt and Joseph Pitt. For Harper Pitt, I have chosen Sandra Bullock, and we chose her because she has played a woman with hallucinations in movies before, such as the movie Bird Box. And in this play, Harper has a lot of hallucinations. And then we chose Gerard Butler because he starred in the movie 300, and in this movie, he has relations with men, but he tries to tell people that he is not gay. And in this play, Joe Pitt is constantly trying to fight the fact that he is gay, and he finally realizes that it's true in the end. And in that quote, at the end of the play, he's telling his mom that he is a homosexual. Now we have Prior Walter and Lewis Ironson. For Prior Walter, I've chosen Jake Gyllenhaal, and for Lewis, Heath Ledger. I did these two together because both of these actors played gay men who fell in love in the movie Brokeback Mountain, and in this play, they are in a relationship. these quotes kind of describe the love they have for each other, even though they face many hardships and there was many diseases and fights that went on, but they still loved each other very much. Now we have Roy Khan and Belize. We chose Tom Cruise for Roy Khan because in every role that he plays, he takes it very seriously, and in his movies, he can easily play a rude man, and he often holds a lot of power. And in the play, Roy is a rude lawyer who gets what he wants, and then this is shown in this quote that he can really do anything to anyone. And then we chose Walton Goggins for Belize, and we chose this because he played a transgender prostitute in the movie Sons of Anarchy. And in the play Angels in America, Belize is a dramatic person and a drag queen, and how dramatic he is shown through that quote. And finally, we have Hannah Pitt in The Voice, which is the angel. We chose Helen Mirren for Hannah Pitt because she has played a harsh mother in the movie Some Mother's Son. And in the play, Hannah is very tough on Joe and doesn't really listen to him. This is kind of shown through the phone call that they had when he was trying to tell her that she was a homosexual and she kind of shut him out. And then we chose Dove Cameron for The Voice because in the Descendants movies, she starred as supernatural characters.
All right, so we all came together for the theme of our production, and we all decided that the main theme was to tell people to own their sexuality and be proud of your identity. Because back then society was very broken, and people did not accept homosexuality as much as they do nowadays. So people would, they would not tell anybody, they would just keep it to themselves, and it would break their confidence inside by not being able to be who they are around other people. So in Act 1, Scene 9, Roy talks about the labels that society has given him and how they are not true, and he is telling Henry this. And he even asks Henry later on in this quote about if this sounds like him, and Henry even agrees it does not, and he agrees like it's not right of how society has labeled homosexuals. And he talks about how people just think it's disgusting because he has sex with men, and they just judge him harder than they would judge anybody else. But really nobody knows like people that are homosexuals, and homosexuals don't know anybody else. And so this is also in one of Roy's powerful speeches that he has, which is, I think, is one of the main speeches in the play because it's very powerful, and he just describes homosexuality to Henry and how society is broken and how people just see them differently just because they do something differently, and how that's not correct or right, but in other people's eyes it seems right for them to judge homosexuals because of what they do. And also in Act 3, Scene 2, this is Lewis telling Belize of they are in the clinic. Lewis is getting an exam, and Lewis is talking about the democracy in America. And in this quote, he talks about the rights of man, or what freedom is, because nobody can really describe what freedom is. And so he just talks about how men have been put on this high pedestal and how everybody should look up to them, because back then women were not treated the right as men. Men made the money and women stayed home, But Lewis is just telling Belize of how it's it's not democracy, and it's just not right for how America has turned out and how they have kind of defined freedom. And even Belize replies to him that love is hard. And if you break the law of love, then things will go bad for you. And he is meaning that by you would be treated differently and not a good way. People will judge you and they won't treat you like they would anybody else. They just constantly think you're different and they can't accept who you are. And then in Act 3, Scene 7, this is prior. He's talking about how he is just a normal human being. He's the only difference, which is a good thing, is that he's gay and he has a different sexuality than other people want him to have. And this is the last scene of the play, and it leaves the audience with a strong message that homosexuals are just like normal human beings. They aren't, they aren't disgusting people. They are just like us. Like some people think that they are crazy or whatever, but even Pryor says that his blood is clean, meaning that his blood is the same kind of blood that we have, and his blood is red just like everybody else's. And he's not crazy by saying his brain is fine and he can handle pressure and he's used to it, and that he is tough and strong, which goes with that theme to be proud of your identity and not hold back to what other people say about you. And this is just a important theme to this play because it stands out to homosexuals mainly, but it could stand out to anybody that is struggling with their identity, but just to not let society bring them down and be proud of who you are. And that is it.